My friends, life is a battlefield. Every day, we step onto the field with challenges pressing against us, temptations whispering in our ears, and circumstances testing our resolve. Some fight with their fists, others with their words. But the greatest battle is not against the world outside. It is against the world within. Control this, and you'll never lose again. Control your mind. You see, the mind is the command center of your life. Every choice you make, every path you take, begins with a thought. Before you fail with your hands, you fail in your heart. Before you stumble with your feet, you stumble in your mind. That's why the enemy always comes for your thoughts. Because if he can capture your mind, he can chain your life. But hear me today. You were not created to be a prisoner of fear, doubt, or despair. You were created to live free, strong, and unshakable. And freedom begins when you learn to take control of what flows through your mind. So many of us lose the battle before it even begins. We wake up and allow worry to dictate our day. We face rejection and allow bitterness to poison our soul. We endure failure and allow shame to label our identity. But if you want to rise above, if you want to walk in victory, you must learn to command your thoughts rather than be commanded by them. You cannot always control what people say about you. You cannot always control the storms that blow into your life. You cannot always control the obstacles in your path. But you can control how you think, how you respond, and what you believe in the midst of it all. That is the secret that separates those who are defeated from those who overcome. Think about it. The strongest warriors are not those who never fall, but those who refuse to stay down. And what keeps them rising? A mind anchored in truth, a spirit locked on hope, and a heart fixed on victory. Control your thoughts, and fear will lose its grip. Control your thoughts, and anger will no longer rule your tongue. Control your thoughts, and discouragement will not rob you of tomorrow's promise. Control your thoughts, and you will discover a strength you never knew you had. The world says success comes from money, position, or power. But I tell you today, real victory comes from mastering your inner life. If you win within, you will never lose without. If you guard your mind, the storms of life cannot sink your ship. If you control the battlefield of your thoughts, you can face anything and rise above everything. So I ask you, what are you allowing to control your mind today? Is it fear of the unknown? Is it the memory of a past mistake? Is it the voice of someone who told you that you will never be enough? Cast it off. Replace it with truth, with hope, with faith. Fill your thoughts with light, and darkness will have no place to stay. The greatest victory is not conquering nations. It is conquering yourself. The greatest triumph is not silencing others. It is silencing the lies in your own head. And the greatest success is not in never falling, but in rising every time you do, because your mind is set on the truth that you were made for more. So hear me control this, and you'll never lose again. Guard your thoughts. Command your mind. Lift your eyes higher. Anchor your heart in faith, and you will walk in a victory that no storm can shake, no enemy can steal, and no failure can destroy. The greatest battlefield is the mind. Every day we wake up and step into a war we cannot see, yet it is the most important fight we will ever face. It is not fought with weapons, nor is it fought on the soil of nations, but within the silent chambers of our own thoughts. Every victory, every defeat, every rise, and every fall begins first in the mind. Before a man ever stumbles in the world, he first stumbles in his thinking. Before a woman ever loses hope, she first surrenders it in her thoughts. That is why the mind is the most valuable ground you will ever have to guard, for if you lose there, you will lose everywhere else. Think about it, your mind is the command center of your life. What you allow to enter, it will eventually direct your actions, shape your habits, and determine your destiny. If your thoughts are filled with fear, your life will be marked by hesitation. If your mind is poisoned with bitterness, your relationships will be clouded by suspicion. If your thoughts are anchored in despair, your steps will be weighed down with defeat. But if you fill your mind with courage, hope, and truth, no storm will be able to sink you, no battle will be able to break you. The battlefield of the mind is where champions are made and where destinies are destroyed. You cannot control everything in life. You cannot control how people treat you. You cannot control the storms that come uninvited. And you cannot control every obstacle that blocks your path. But you can control your response. You can control your perspective. You can control the way you choose to think when trouble comes. And when you learn to take control of your mind, you discover the secret of victory that no one can take from you. Some of you today are carrying wounds not on your body, but in your mind. You replay the words someone spoke over you years ago, words that told you that you are not enough, that you will never make it, that you don't have what it takes. And because those words have taken root in your thoughts, they have shaped the way you see yourself. You are not bound by the chains of reality. You are bound by the chains of belief. But hear me, you do not have to stay chained. You can rise. You can take authority over your thoughts. You can cast off the lies and replace them with truth. And when you do, you will begin to walk in a freedom that no person, no past, and no problem can steal. The mind can either be your prison or your place of power. It can either be the place where fear dominates you or the place where faith strengthens you. The difference is not in what happens to you, but in what you allow yourself to believe about what happens to you. Two people can walk through the same storm, face the same opposition, and endure the same hardships, yet one comes out broken while the other comes out stronger. The difference lies in the battlefield of their thoughts. One surrendered to defeat. The other chose to believe in victory. You may not be able to silence every voice around you, but you can choose which voice you listen to inside of you. You may not be able to stop fear from knocking at the door of your mind, but you do not have to let it sit down and stay. You may not be able to erase every memory of failure, but you can refuse to let failure define you. The mind is the key, and if you win there, you will win everywhere. History is filled with men and women who had no great wealth, no high position, and no army behind them, yet they changed the world because they first mastered themselves. They learned to command their thoughts, to believe in what could be, and to refuse to bow to despair. Their victories did not begin with their hands, but with their minds. And if it was true for them, it is true for you. Do not think lightly of what passes through your mind. A single thought has the power to build your future or to tear it down. A thought of hope can ignite courage where fear once lived. A thought of forgiveness can heal wounds that bitterness has long kept open. A thought of determination can push you one more step when everything in you says to quit. If you feed your mind with strength, your life will reflect it. If you starve your mind with doubt, your life will reveal it. Every person will face battles in life, but the greatest victories are won not when circumstances change, but when our thinking changes. You may still walk through storms, but if your mind is anchored, the storm will not destroy you. You may still face rejection, but if your thoughts are strong, rejection will not define you. You may still experience loss, but if your mind is fixed on truth, loss will not end you. Control the battlefield of your mind, and you will walk through life undefeated. So guard your thoughts. Do not let every passing fear take residence in your heart. Do not let bitterness rent space in your soul. Do not let despair dictate the chapters of your story. Instead, choose to dwell on what lifts you higher, on what gives you strength, on what keeps you moving forward. Refuse to surrender the most precious ground you own, your mind. The greatest battlefield is the mind. Win there, and you win everywhere. Lose there, and no victory outside will ever be enough. Control your thoughts, and you will never again be controlled by fear. Command your mind, and you will walk in a victory that no one can take. Rise up, strengthen your thoughts, and fight with the certainty that if you conquer the battlefield within, nothing in this world can defeat you. You can't always control circumstances, but you can control your response. That single truth holds the power to change your entire life. Every one of us has faced moments we did not choose, storms we did not see coming, and disappointments we never planned for. Life has a way of throwing us into situations that test us, break us, and sometimes leave us questioning why things turned out the way they did. But while you may not have control over what happens to you, you always have the power to decide how you will respond. And in that response lies your victory or your defeat. Think about it. None of us were given a promise that the road would be smooth. Life is unpredictable. One moment everything seems secure, and the next the ground shakes beneath your feet. Circumstances shift like the wind. People may betray you, opportunities may vanish. Sickness may come, and setbacks may knock you down. But here is the key. Those things do not define your future unless you let them. What defines you is not the storm, but the spirit you carry inside it. What defines you is not the problem, but the perspective you choose in the middle of it. When you learn to control your response, you begin to take back power from the things that once held you hostage. Fear may try to grip you, but you can respond with courage. Bitterness may try to root itself in your heart, but you can respond with forgiveness. Hopelessness may whisper that it's over, but you can respond with faith. Your response is the turning point between staying in chains and walking in freedom. Many people live as if they are powerless to the blows life throws their way. They say, I can't help but be angry. I can't help but be bitter. I can't help but give up. But the truth is, you can help it because you were given the ability to choose. You cannot stop the waves, but you can decide whether you will sink or whether you will rise. You cannot stop the fire, but you can decide whether you will be consumed or refined. You cannot stop people from speaking against you, but you can decide whether you will let their words define your worth. History is filled with men and women who proved this truth. They faced opposition, rejection, and trial after trial, yet they chose to respond with strength, with patience, with faith. That is why we remember them, not because their lives were perfect, but because they refused to be broken by their circumstances. They understood that when you cannot control the storm around you, you can still command the ship within you. And isn't that the same battle you face today? Some of you are walking through seasons you never imagined. Financial struggles, broken relationships, deep loneliness, or painful loss. You feel like you're losing control. But control was never meant to be placed in the hands of circumstances. It was meant to be placed in the way you respond. If you carry peace in your heart, chaos outside cannot rob you. If you hold on to hope, despair cannot swallow you. If you choose gratitude, even in the smallest things, then lack will not steal your joy. The secret of life is not avoiding problems, but mastering your reaction to them. Think about a seed planted in the ground. The soil may be dry, the sun may burn, the rain may flood, but that seed has within it the power to adapt, to grow roots, and to rise. That is the picture of your life. You were created with resilience. You were designed with strength. You were made to withstand storms and still produce fruit. But it will not happen by accident. It happens when you decide, I may not control what comes my way, but I will control how I walk through it. When someone wrongs you, you can respond with bitterness or forgiveness. When life knocks you down, you can respond with defeat or determination. When fear whispers, you can respond with faith. Every response you make is either building your victory or building your chains. And hear me, the power is always in your hands. You may feel weak, you may feel outnumbered, but the one choice you never lose is how you will respond. If you let anger rule your response, it will poison your spirit. If you let fear dictate your choices, it will shrink your world. If you let despair control your thoughts, it will darken your vision. But if you rise up with faith, if you respond with strength, if you choose to see possibility instead of impossibility, then no matter what comes, you will stand unshaken. Life will test you, but those tests can become testimonies if you choose the right response. Struggles will come, but those struggles can build strength if you choose the right response. Heartbreak will strike, but even that pain can be transformed into power if you choose the right response. The question is not, what will life throw at me? The question is, how will I respond when it comes? My friend, your response is your greatest weapon. It is your shield in the battle. It is the anchor in your storm. It is the fire in your fight. You cannot always choose the path, but you can choose how you walk it. You cannot always choose the pain, but you can choose whether it makes you bitter or makes you better. You cannot always choose the outcome, but you can choose to never surrender your spirit. So remember this truth. You can't always control circumstances, but you can control your response. And if you master your response, nothing in this life can defeat you. The storm may rage, but you will stand. The winds may blow, but you will endure. The fire may come, but you will rise from it stronger. Victory does not belong to those who control everything. It belongs to those who refuse to be controlled by anything except faith, courage, and perseverance. Winning within guarantees victory without. That simple truth is the dividing line between those who rise and those who fall, between those who overcome and those who surrender. Life has never been about the size of the storm, but about the strength of the sailor. It has never been about the number of obstacles in your path, but about the condition of your spirit as you face them. If you win inside, no force on the outside can ever truly defeat you. So many live under the illusion that life is lost or won by what others do to us. They believe that their future is in the hands of employers, governments, critics, or enemies. But the truth is, no one has the power to determine your destiny unless you hand them the keys. The only real battleground is within. The mind, the heart, the soul. This is where victories are secured or defeats are suffered long before the outcome is visible to the world. Think about the most difficult battles of your life. They were not simply battles against situations. They were battles against yourself. You fought despair. You wrestled with doubt. You faced fear whispering in the darkness. And when you stood firm in your spirit, when you refused to give in to defeat, you discovered that no outside force could undo you. That is the power of winning within. Consider the person who faces rejection. One response is to let that rejection grow roots of bitterness, to believe the lie that you are not enough, to shrink back in shame. But another response is to rise with resolve, to declare that your value is not defined by the opinion of another, to let rejection be redirection towards something greater. The circumstance is the same, but the outcome is completely different depending on whether you lose within or win within. Winning inside is not about denying pain or pretending life is easy. It is about choosing to master your thoughts, your emotions, and your perspective. Pain will come, failure will come, disappointment will come. But if your heart remains unbroken in resolve, if your mind is guarded with truth, if your spirit clings to hope, then every trial becomes fuel for your triumph. You may bend, but you will not break. You may stumble, but you will not stay down. That is the mark of those who have won within. There are countless stories of people who had little by the world's standards, but were unconquerable in spirit. They had no riches, no fame, no power, yet they carried an inner victory that nothing could steal. And there are also those who gained everything: wealth, recognition, applause, yet were defeated within, miserable despite their possessions. This is proof that true victory is not measured in outward success, but in inward strength. The storms of life will test you. They will try to shake your foundation and tear apart your confidence. But if you are anchored within, you will not sink. Waves may rise, winds may howl, but the storm cannot overcome a ship that is secure in its core. In the same way, a person who wins within cannot be undone by the turbulence of life. When anger rises, winning within means choosing peace. When fear shouts, winning within means choosing faith. When despair knocks, winning within means answering with hope. This is not easy, but it is essential. Every day, you are shaping the outcome of your future, not by what happens around you, but by what happens inside you. If you let your mind be ruled by negativity, your life will reflect defeat. But if you fill your thoughts with purpose, vision, and determination, your life will reflect victory. The world cannot take away what it never gave you. It cannot steal a victory that has already been secured inside your heart. Winning within also means refusing to be defined by failure. Every person stumbles, every person falls short. The difference lies in how you respond. Do you label yourself as finished, or do you rise stronger because of what you've learned? Do you allow the fall to cripple you, or do you use it as the ground to push yourself higher? When you control your inner response, even failure becomes a stepping stone to victory. There is a deep strength that comes when you realize that the opinions of others cannot determine your worth. When you no longer live for the applause of the crowd or the approval of critics, you gain a freedom that is unshakable. You understand that winning within is not about pleasing others. It is about being true, faithful, and steadfast no matter what storms rage outside. My friend, hear this truth. If you win within, you can face rejection without crumbling. You can endure hardship without losing hope. You can confront failure without losing vision. The world may strip you of possessions, titles, and applause, but if you guard your inner victory, you are undefeated. Winning within guarantees victory because it changes the way you see every challenge. No longer is the trial a wall. It becomes a doorway. No longer is the setback an end. It becomes a lesson. No longer is the storm a threat. It becomes the wind that pushes you forward. You are not a victim of circumstance when you are a victor in spirit. Every great leader, every courageous soul, every person who has changed history first won their battles within. They faced fear and refused to bow. They faced doubt and refused to quit. They faced opposition and refused to turn back. Their external victories were only possible because of the unseen victories inside their hearts. And that is the calling for you today, to rise above the noise, to silence the lies, to master your thoughts and direct them toward hope, faith, and purpose, to secure your victory where it matters most within. Winning within guarantees victory without. So guard your mind, strengthen your spirit, anchor your heart in hope. And no matter what you face, you will walk in a victory that no storm, no failure, no enemy, and no circumstance can ever take away.